components that you're going to need. And then we will go back and break it down a little bit at a time. But chapter 1 is the chapter that lays the foundation for your entire research project. And in that chapter, we are going to clearly define what we're going to study. And once we clearly define what we're going to study, then that we stay steadfast to those components. Other information might be nice to know information, but we are not going to address it because there's not enough time to do it.
That would be where we put into like for recommendations for further study everything.
Exactly. We keep a list of all of those things, and that will then be put in chapter 5. And so as you look at the template that is on Blackboard, you will see that it says chapter 1 and it says introduction. And what that first paragraph will be, or it can be several paragraphs, it is a paragraph of introduction that presents a brief introduction to the research project. And so what we're doing is giving our reader an appetizer of where all of this is going to go. You want to have some significant documentation. You will recall that when we talked about the overall project in general, that this is a research project, and so we have no personal pronouns in it. And so you will want to begin to look at research to be able to pull into that introductory statement some significant citations that lay the foundation for your study. The citations, 2 or 3, is fine. But we want to have a statement that introduces where we are going. From that statement, we are going to move to the problem statement. The problem statement provides a brief introduction that uses several quotes from research-based sources. And so you will have an introductory statement that talks about where the concepts are going to go, and then the problem statement, no personal pronouns. The last sentence that will occur will be and you're going to then insert a statement from the topic that says the understanding or the situation occurring within this study is not known. And so what we are looking at is to identify what we don't know. And so you will have that statement that then will indicate that the information is not known. You know from your reading in the Joseph and Joseph book that there are a variety of kinds of research types, and you are going to want to identify what your research type will be. One of the things that is true with this research project is that it is both research and it provides a foundation for you to understand research methodology. And so many times we are going to take the time to define terms within the context of the research project, that if someone asks you about what descriptive research means, that you have a definition right in front of you that you can go back and you can cite. And so Joseph and Joseph has a listing of different types of research categories, and you are going to want to look at your research paradigm and define what kind of research it is, and then you will have an actual definition drawn from the Joseph and Joseph book with the citation. For the most part, the kinds of studies that come out of this type of class, it is a descriptive study. And it is descriptive by definition, meaning that it describes what is observed, it makes appropriate analysis, and then reports the significance of the data. And so we're looking, we're analyzing, and then we are reporting the significance of the data. When we talked about the scope of your research project, we said that we would then have either research questions, hypotheses, or objectives. We are going to next talk about the purpose of the study. And the purpose of the study is a reiteration of the problem statement that then introduces the research questions. A reiteration of the problem statement and then introduces the research questions. And we've already talked about that you could use hypotheses, objectives, and research questions. For your particular situation, it's going to be research questions. Critical to your purpose statement is that we introduce no additional information. Whatever we have put into our original problem statement, that is what remains as a reiteration in the purpose of the study, followed by a statement that then takes us into the research questions. And so you will have the statement after you have restated your purpose, your problem statement. You will have this particular statement. Everyone will have that. Generating from the general purpose statement above, the following research questions were cited. For example, one of my previous students did a survey and did a study on relieving immigrant tensions through the use of the home economics and family and consumer science discipline. Her problem statement started with the fact that she used several statements about immigrants. She started with stating, history reveals that America is a nation of immigrants, and that was a quote. However, current research suggests immigrants are no longer viewed as welcome in the nation due to the potential problems they bring with them. A second quote, governments are unlikely to be able to solve the many problems posed by international migration through unilateral approaches only. Again, that is a quote from research. She then goes to the actual introduction of the problem statement. With problems growing, the home economics, family, and consumer sciences discipline may be able to offer solutions to the problem. So she's therefore defining what that problem is. The problem statement then is a descriptive study, and she quotes Joseph and Joseph. When she moved on to the purpose statement, she took that same statement and said, the purpose of the study is to determine whether or not the home economics, family, and consumer science discipline can offer its services to help alleviate some of the the tensions caused by immigration. Restatement of the problem. Then the introduction of the research question. Generating from the general purpose statement above, the following research statements or questions were cited. First question, are immigrants in need of basic training in order to become functional members of American society? Second, can the home economics, family, and consumer science discipline offer immigrants practical skill training that will allow them to matriculate into American society? Those two research questions will then form the foundation for the review of the literature. Each one of the survey questions that do not deal with the demographic information will be drawn off of those two questions. Anything else that would deal with information that would be nice to know, it's nice to know information, but not relevant to the study. Research questions are also defined for you in in Brown and Cosby. And so you would put the citation for Brown and Cosby into your statement, and that is page 106. If we take a look at what the hypotheses and the objectives are, this is information that will help you in understanding research in general. Hypotheses, objectives, or research questions help the researcher focus on the study in a workable project. It takes an elephant and cuts it down into bite-sized pieces. They provide direction and may indicate the expectations of the researcher. In the study that I'm referring you to about the immigrants, there was some expectation of the researcher that yes, indeed, the home economics, family, and consumer science discipline could assist in the process. The choice is the researcher's and the research design instructor. But once we have identified one model, we don't have one research hypothesis, one research question, and one research objective. Hypotheses are written in a form, and we could take the two questions that I have read to you and at the same time indicate the same information in hypotheses. Hypotheses demonstrate the researcher's expectations and is stated in research, alternative form, or null form. So you say what you mean, you state exactly the opposite, and then try to prove it wrong. Objectives are clear statements that specify exactly what is to be researched.